Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle one of the most fundamental building blocks of the web, the HTML table. If you've ever needed to organize data, put it in nice, neat rows on a web page, then this is for you. Let's just dive right in.
So, let's kick things off with a super common problem. You've got information, right? It could be schedules, prices, stats, whatever. How do you get it into that clean, easy-to-read grid that you see everywhere? Well, the answer is the good old trusty HTML table. And to make this really practical, we're not just going to talk about theory. Nope, we're actually going to build something together. A simple table that shows the opening hours for a little store. It's the perfect little project because it covers all the key ideas we need to know.
Every good structure has to start with a solid foundation. And for an HTML table, that foundation is what we call its core skeleton. Let's take a look at the main tags that create this essential framework.
First things first, the table tag. This is the big one, the master container. Absolutely everything that's part of your table has to live inside these opening and closing table tags. A good way to think about it is like building a bookshelf. This tag is the main frame that's going to hold everything together.
Okay, so we've got our bookshelf frame. Now we need some shelves, right? That is exactly where the TR, or table row tag, comes in. Every single time you want a new horizontal row of information, you just start a new TR. It's really that simple. One TR tag gives us one shelf on our bookshelf.
Okay, so we have our frame and we have our shelves. Now we got to actually put things on those shelves. And in HTML, we have two different ways to do this, with header cells and with data cells. Now the difference between them might seem small, but it's actually super important.
So here's the breakdown. TH stands for table header. You use these to label your columns, things like day or hours. It tells the browser, hey, this is a title, so the browser automatically makes it bold and centered. On the other hand, you've got TD, which is for table data. This is for the actual info, like Monday or 9 to 5. So TH gives your columns meaning, which is really, really important for things like screen readers, while TD just holds the raw content.
All right, let's actually put this into practice. Our very first row is going to be our column titles. So we open up a TR tag for our row, and then right inside it, we create 7 Theia elements, one for each day of the week. This makes it crystal clear to anyone and any machine that this row right here contains the headers for our table.
Perfect. Now for the next row, which will have the actual store hours, we start another TR tag. But check it out. This time, we use TD tags inside. So the first TD, closed, lines up perfectly under the Sunday header. 9 to 5 goes right under Monday. And you just keep going. You can already see how the structure keeps everything perfectly aligned.
All right, we have a functional table, which is great, but let's be honest, it doesn't look that great. So now we're going to add a few simple things called attributes directly into our HTML tags to give it some visual structure and make it way easier to read. I mean, look at it right now. Our data is just kind of floating in space. There are no lines, nothing separating the cells, and that can make it a little tough to follow. So the first, and believe me, the easiest fix for this is to add a border.
To do this, all we have to do is go back to our main table tag from the very beginning, and we add the attribute border equals 1. That's it. That number 1 just sets how thick the line is. You could make it 2 or 5 for a thicker border, but 1 is a really nice, clean place to start.
And will you look at that? An immediate difference. With that one tiny change, our table instantly looks way more organized, more professional. The data is now all neatly tucked inside a grid. Much better.
We can actually take this even further. First, let's center all the text. A really quick way to do this is to add the align equals center attribute to both of our TR tags. Then, you see how the columns are all different widths? To fix that, we can add a width equals 100 attribute to each one of our TH header tags. This forces every single column to be the exact same size, giving us a really nice, clean, uniform look. Okay, so those attributes are awesome for quick fixes. But for real visual control, we gotta turn to CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets. We're gonna use a special attribute called style to pop some CSS rules right into our HTML tags. Let's bring this table to life with some color.
So here's the game plan. We'll start by making the whole table background black. Then, to make that header really stand out, we'll color that row light blue. And finally, we'll give the data row its own unique, slightly different color, which will create a really clear visual separation.
The key to all of this is the style attribute. We just add it right into a tag, and inside the quotes, we write our CSS. So for our header row, we'll find its TR tag and add style equals background color light blue. And we can do pretty much the same thing for the main table tag and the data row to give each part its own color. And check out the result! See, color isn't just for making things look pretty, it creates hierarchy. Your eye is immediately drawn to that light blue header row, which clearly separates it from the data down below. This simple change makes the entire table way easier to scan and understand in a split second.
So let's just do a quick recap of everything we built. We have our main table tag that sets the border and the background. Inside that, we've got 2 TR rows. Each one is centered and has its own background color. And then finally, the TH and TD tags are sitting inside, holding all of our actual content.
And there it is, our finished product. We went from a few lines of plain old text to a structured, styled, and super easy to read table. It's clean, it's organized, and it clearly communicates the store's hours. I'd say that's a pretty fantastic result from just a few simple HTML tags and attributes.
And that's pretty much it. You now have the power to take raw data and organize it into a clean, structured table for any web page. So the real question is, what are you going to build? A list of your favorite movies? A schedule for your team? The possibilities are literally endless. Thanks so much for watching.